It was a Tuesday morning about 9 o'clock, north of Boston, where I was living at the time. I'd just come home from my morning run. And my wife came out, met me in the driveway. Unusual, a look of shock on her face. She was listening to the radio. She ran to turn on the TV. She said planes had hit the Twin Towers in New York City. It was that day, what Americans call 9/11. My first reaction was, are my people okay? The New York Accelerated Solutions Environment, ASE, was right across the street from the New York Stock Exchange, almost in the shadow of the Twin Towers. I got on the phone, I got on the internet to make sure everybody was fine, even though it turned out some of them had been caught in that terrible cloud hours later. I was on the phone with Kristen Bailey, one of our facilitators, when she said, oh my God, right up my window, the tower collapsed. We were all in shock. And like many Americans, the question was, what could I do? What could I do? And then I remembered the name that Matt and Gail had given to the mobile design shop kit that they could deliver in a truck and set up. They called that set of furniture and equipment the RDS, the Rapid Deployment System. The idea was, when a crisis occurred, they could move that in place, set it up, and have a venue to help the authorities figure out, what do we do to respond? What do we do next? Well, I had one. I had an ASE, fully functional. How to get it in play, how to get in the game. I called Colonel Bill Rutley, who was heading my Cambridge ASE right down the road. Bill had been an Air Force base commander, and I knew he was trained in emergency response. So the question was, Bill, how do we let people know we have an ASE? Because we had also heard by then that the New York City Emergency Command Center had been destroyed. It was in one of the Twin Towers. Well, what could we do? We spent hours, then days on the phone. We had bags packed, sleeping bags ready to go, but we couldn't get through to anybody at the city level, at the state level, at the federal level. It just wasn't happening. Turns out, when there's a crisis, people who are responsible for dealing with the crisis are just not in a mood to make new friends, even when the new friends can help. I'm not a big fan of Donald Rumsfeld, who was the US Defense Secretary at the time, but he said, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you want. And that's what people do in crisis. They go with what they know, with the people they're connected to. That story has haunted me for 19 years. I was convinced I was not going to be helpless again. I wanted people to know what we can do. Carolyn and I have been together for 10 years. And Carolyn has a wonderful phrase that you'll hear more about in this month's Up Creation New Moon Gathering. And the idea is, build your network before you need it. Carolyn had connections in politics. We've been building those in non-governmental agencies and academia so that people who need to know what we in our network know how to do, know it. I met Dr. William Ury, the co-author of the book Getting to Yes and co-founder of the Harvard Negotiation Project. I met William in 2016, and he was a perfect candidate for us to work with from Imaginal Labs. Our Imaginal Labs, our company's mission, is to help courageous leaders dream big and then mobilize teams of people to do incredible things. William is known for dreaming big. And the story I'm going to give you a headline about now that I've written up for you to read before the New Moon Gathering is an incredible story of William getting in the game to help deal with a crisis that nobody was dealing with. The case begins in 2017. The rhetoric and the tension between the United States and North Korea was increasing to the point, particularly with North Korea's testing of intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear weapons, there was a real risk of nuclear war. The US government was dealing with a new and very unusual president, Donald Trump. They were in an uproar. When William called his colleagues at the State Department, in the intelligence community, in defense community, because he'd been working with peace efforts for decades, he knew these people, called them up, and found out that no one was taking direct responsibility to calm things down between the US and North Korea. So William did. He took radical responsibility, which led in October of that year to a 2-week design sprint. And I'll describe that in the case. A remarkable experience of citizen diplomacy, really, and trying to find ways to calm down the situation. And that led to a 3-year effort that touched the highest levels of government in and I mean the highest levels, in the US, in North Korea, and in South Korea, to pull back from the brink, to find an off-ramp to war. That effort is not complete by any stretch, but it's been successful so far. The level of tension, the level of threat, the probability of an accidental trip into war has really diminished significantly. I've written this up as a case. Now, the full details of the case can't be told until there's a new administration, at least after the US election, whoever wins. But this redacted version is available to you in writing, and I hope you'll read it, because we're not going to cover the details of the case at the New Moon Gathering, but it's very much a case about something we've heard from so many of you. The question, I've got to stand, but how do I get in the game? How do I take what I've got and make a difference in that area? I'm not saying this is the answer for you, but I'm pretty sure you'll find some ideas, some news you can use by taking the time to read this case. The details matter. It's not fully public, and we're asking that you not pass the case along to anybody else. Just for you. But read a case about building a team and then a network to allow group genius to make a difference in a very important part of our global, communal life together. In that case, the M.G. Taylor system and method, the collaboration code stuff, is central in combining what we know how to do with William Urey's proven methods for making peace in a community and between nations. The combination of the two is now being used in many other areas: Israel, Palestine, Syria, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Venezuela. The stuff works. And we've been able to lay it out in a form that lets people learn it, particularly people who know these methods, learn it and apply it. That's what the case is about. It's written so you can take time with it, and we hope you do. Because you've told us, look, what works is, let's not watch videos together. If you have videos, watch them in advance. Okay, here's a video for you to watch in advance, along with a case for you to read in advance. And then when we get together at the New Moon Gathering in September, we'll have plenty of time to talk about it and, more importantly, apply it to your situation, your stand, your ability to bring your gifts, your relationships, your knowledge, your skills to bear to up-create that thing you care so much about. See you in September. See you at the New Moon Gathering.